Mohammed. Hi, Najat. And hi, Samira. Now I'm curious, Najat and Samira, do you two know each other?
Hello. Sorry,
Hello.
I was figuring out the things. No, we don't.
Logistics.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. So, how are you? Hello. I hope it's not last minute to join. I thought it was an opportunity, so I just saw it as I got home. So, is that okay? I join now?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've just logged on. We're just starting. So there's 11 registered. Two this morning may be coming this afternoon because they didn't attend this morning. So we'll see how we get on. Samira did quite a lot of work for QFEA, so that's why I was curious to see if
No,
you
we didn't. No.
passed across. How's life, Najat?
Busy, but good. Yeah, enjoying at the moment. Grateful, I have to say.
That's good. Oh, that's a nice way to end the week.
Yes, it is. This is a good time for me actually on a Thursday afternoon. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to do all of these at that time, but it's good. I'm in the process of doing the Diamond program from Empower World to upgrade to the PCC. So this could be quite useful as well to get that knowledge and core competencies, I guess.
Yes, yes. So their program, is it ACSTH or it's CCEs?
So it's both, I think. So depending on where you are, I think they can do both. So I'm trying to gain CCEs at the moment to go to the next step. Yes, I've already got that.
You'll submit your recordings.
No, I've done all that already.
Ah, you've done your PCC recordings as well.
No, I haven't done those. No, not yet. Yeah, so that I will probably do towards June, July, something like that.
Yeah. Good. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hi, good day to everybody. Yeah, no, fine, thank you. It's nice and sunny. I'm in the UK, so there's a bit of sun for a change.
Nice. I think there's even if it's cold, if there's blue skies, it's just. Is that the blue out the window or is that a blind?
Oh, that's the blind. No, it's not that nice.
Not that blue.
The sad thing is I have to pull the blind down because it's too bright and I can't see the screens of the laptop. But got a little bit open so I can see a little bit of it.
Cool.
And good day, everybody.
Yeah. So I thought we'd start today with, for some of us in the Middle East, it's the end of the week. And for others, there's a bit more of the week to go. So to bring ourselves to this professional development session, I'd like you to just have a think, and then we'll all share what brought us here to this session today. And when you're ready, feel free to share.
I'm ready.
Yay.
So for me, I work in quite a challenging culture at the moment, more than I've probably ever seen in my 14 years in Qatar. So I'm based in Qatar, and I'm finding the coaching very useful, and the powerful questioning to try and maneuver and support the team who are generally locals. So I just want to have the right tools and be a better coach myself. So that's one element, and really learn, develop. And the second part is I'm working towards the PCC with the ICF as well. So this is based on one of the core competencies. So I'd like to join because of that.
Brilliant, thank you. And Dr. Mohamed's put a message there in the chat. I came to see all of you and will be with you in this journey. Brilliant, welcome. Stephen.
Yeah, so I'm kind of probably the newbie in the group. I recently signed up for the ICF diploma. So I am at the moment doing going through my ACC qualification. And just starting my practice sessions with real clients, obviously as part of the qualification piece, which will finish. Then obviously, hopefully after that, move on to the diploma and then move on to the accreditation. So wide idea. So I guess for me, I'm still opening my mind in the coaching, still trying to draw and learn lots more. And I think my original idea for doing coaching was, because I think we all do coaching in our work environment, was it was going to be an additional tool to my toolkit to work with my clients, etc. But given the current situation, I've kind of lost my contract, so it's making me reevaluate. And also, I suppose, as the course goes on, what I actually want to do with coaching. And the more I do it, the more people I speak to, and the more sessions like this I go to, it's kind of making me think, well, perhaps coaching is something, maybe it's full time as opposed to just doing it as part of the day job and a bolt on. So open mind still at the moment.
What a great inquiry. And which coach training school are you doing your diploma with?
So I'm doing it with Full Circle in the UK. So yeah, so I mean, the first part of the journey is the ACC, and then hopefully once we should finish that sort of January-ish time, see when I get all my real client sessions in and recorded, etc. Move on to the diploma after that.
Fabulous.
Sorry, that was a long introduction. Sorry.
It's absolutely fine. And we've got Moog. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Would you like to share? And I know one or two people have said they're multitasking, driving and things, and they may not be able to speak on the session, but they wanted to be here anyway. So that could be the case. So I'm here because I'm extremely passionate about coaching. That's one thing. And I've had quite, there we go. I believe coaching can change and transform everything. Absolutely. For me, coaching is positive, transformational, impactful, long-term, systemic change that needs to happen for society. That's quite a sentence. I think I need to write that one down, actually. So I've had quite an interesting journey from originally being a teacher of business and economics, and then going on to lecture on MBAs. And then I actually moved into coaching because I was curious, and also I've experienced quite a range of industries globally across sectors. I've worked in coaching on the ground in 8 different countries, and also I've coached in 15 countries with online as well. And it's been live coaching, executive team and board coaching, but also coaching teams, coaching people who really want to focus on performance management, and also quite a lot of work with unusual situations such as family businesses and family offices and ultra high net worth individuals to particular royal families, obviously, that won't be mentioned. So working with the family as a system to enable them to gel in terms of values, to stay together long term, and to keep family businesses going down the line. So quite a range of different things. And then in foreign direct investment, and also energy and hospitals and education, that being close to my heart. So that's a whistle-stop tour of me. And I've worked externally as a coach, but also internally, and most recently, just under 3 years, internal for Qatar Financial Centre. And during that role, I was involved in culture shift, redesigning the values, behavioural competency frameworks, and we won the ICF PRISM Award for the Middle East back last month, which is a fabulous end to that particular journey. So I'm Master Certified Coach. This is the boring bit, really, isn't it? Master Certified Coach with ICF, just renewed that for the second time, Master Practitioner. I'm an accredited supervisor, and that was with Henley Business School. Also, I do mentor coaching, deliver coach training. We have people who start all the way from day one with us, and also people who join our programs at different times to gain different schools experience and different models. And people who've done ACSTH, ACC, they want to move to PCC and focus specifically on executive team and board coaching. And the other thing there is we provide ACTP, where we can actually assess the orals for PCC and enable you to gain that level as well. So what this program is about, it's people can dip in at any point for just one session, or they can attend all the sessions. And each time it's absolutely complimentary. And of course, if you want to gain the CCE, it is 1.5 hours. So it's 1.5 CCE. Some of the sessions will be fully on core competencies. Others will be CCEs, continued coach education on resource and on core competencies, depending on what's delivered in the different sessions. So I will keep you informed. This one was actually only advertised yesterday because some work got pushed back that I was doing today. So we've had a number of people that have signed up and asked for when are the other dates, and we will get that out to you. So systemic focus is one of the things we feel really strongly about. Somatic embodiment work, really connecting and using Gestalt to be more of ourselves. We'll do a session on the Coach Me model, which is non-linear and also results focused. We are also launching for the second time a program to enable people to be mentor coaches. And so we're giving, it's good to look at that both ways, because if you're going for credentialing, to know and understand what's being looked at, that really helps you to make sure you're hitting the different criteria for ACC, PCC and MCC. And then systemic team coaching, there's a session, pricing, packaging and pitching. So I'm also going to be covering that as well. And we'll have one session using the creative picture cards, which is a very different style of coaching and totally non-directive. Like the Vegas rule, whatever shows up, totally confidential. We don't record that session, whereas the other sessions we do record in case people can't attend. And then the team advanced profile will also be covered, which is a team level psychometric that we've used with Lego, for example. We'll talk about supervision one session, and also a very interactive session on systemic constellations, to know, understand and be able to apply the principles. And we touch on that a little bit today as well. So that's the whistle stop tour of the sessions that I'll be delivering complimentary over the next 2 months, 3 months. Any questions before we start? Okay, so this session is specifically looking at what is a coaching culture? What is organizational coaching? So many people use different words. I'm a business coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a leadership coach, I'm an organizational coach, and so forth. We'll look at these and try and unpick them to understand more about the titles. And then we'll also look at the way you can partner with businesses as a coach, and the business case for coaching, which obviously can support those that are replying to requests for proposals, but also anyone in starting their coaching business to be able to sell the benefits. That is obviously a USP in itself. And then what ways can the barriers to coaching cultures be overcome? And then at the end, we'll look at a roadmap. And I would love it if every one of you leaves with an actionable task that's smart, specific, measurable, achievable, that you commit to working upon in terms of moving either your organization or your awareness or your skills in creating coaching cultures. So that's our roadmap for today. So just in brief, everyone on the call has had at least some coach training, so that's fabulous. So we don't need to go into this slide in great detail, but whether it is for an individual, a team, an organisation, or a whole system, including the clients, regulatory authorities, governments, NGOs, all the different stakeholders present in our systems, the more open and aware we are, the easier it is to work with the system and align to its needs. So what this is about is actually growing that open area. And the more we know ourselves, our strengths, and drawing on people's strengths, and we know also what's happening in terms of others, the easier it is to work together. So the types of questions that we ask when getting involved in any coaching engagement with organisations is really deep into why coaching, why now? Where are you at? Where do you need to be? What is your vision for this organisation in terms of embarking on a coaching journey? How much is the budget to support this coaching journey? And one of the reasons for that is the ICF Prism Award, for example, they really value as one of the criteria coaching being a line item in a budget, because that means there's buy-in from the top. And even if it's under HR or it's under L&D, or, you know, sometimes it's under OD, wherever it's placed, if it's a line item, that shows there is commitment to it. So we ask all these types of questions so that we can then know where that organisation is at. And then it's easier to plan the milestones along the way to the coaching culture. So, I want you to think for a minute. What are the different types, words and experiences of coaching that you are aware of in organisations? So I've mentioned a few already, such as leadership coaching. Grab a pen or just think out loud in your mind, 90 seconds, how many can you think of? Twenty seconds left. Okay, so shout out or type in the chat box the number. How many different styles or ways or titles or experiences of organizational coaching did you think of? What's your number? 5? Anyone else? Shout it out if you wish. 4, thank you. Okay, so share. Take your mute off or type in the box What are some of the ones that you come up with? And let's see, thank you, Dr. Mohammed, 3. Let's see if we've got similarities or differences in terms of the vocabulary and the types of coaching in organisations. Who would like to share?
I'm happy to share what I came up with.
Thanks, Najat.
No problem. I had executive coaching, life coaching, business, organizational, and performance.
Brilliant. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, happy to share. I think I had succession. I think that probably was the only different. Oh, I had exit as well. So sort of onboarding, offboarding. I think those are the only different ones that I had.
Brilliant. And that is so poignant at the moment. The best organisations are leaning into compassion when people have to move on, unfortunately, with what's going on. And that is such an important area. Absolutely. And we've got process improvement, change, executive use, young leader. Yeah. And then these things in the Middle East, for example, you know, coaching around, for example, Qatarization and growing the number of nationals. Yeah, team coaching, absolutely. And I would add to that systemic team coaching, not just coaching the team, but also coaching the voices in the system. So the other teams, nested systems, and also the voices of various stakeholders. So here are some, and not all. We've got one-on-one, obviously, teams as opposed to group, teams in terms of the people working together have a shared purpose, whereas group coaching, I had a fabulous experience a few years back, and also in organisations, coaching a group of Saudi women who were entrepreneurs. It was group coaching. They all had their own different businesses, and there was elements where they learned from each other. And in group coaching, I also, just as when I do supervision, invite people to ask each other questions as well. So the knock-on effect is they increase their coaching competencies too. And then we've got executive. So this is a place where it tends to start in organizations, where the senior leaders are getting coaches, and it tends to be coached, and it tends to be someone from the outside coaching in the organization. And then I've mentioned the systemic, and we've talked about career and business coaching. So business coaching's sort of on a continuum where we've got what I call pure business coaching, which is all about you and your business and the business needs. And then we've got the other side where some people would call it blended, and actually it just fits with the ICF new core competencies for 2021, where there may be elements where you're sharing models or you're sharing some reading so that the person you're coaching can work on what their needs are in terms of growing their business. So one is the absolute non-directive, all the way to it would be verging on mentoring on the other side. And then we have strategy, performance management, project management, succession, and innovation and creativity as a thing in its own right for coaching. So one project I did was with the directors of American Express across the Middle East, and the focus was on enabling them to step deeper into creating environments for innovation and creativity with their teams. And that was an ongoing engagement, and we devised a simple diagnostic, a simple psychometric to use to be able to see where they were at, where they want to be, and ways that gaps can be closed. And saying that, that was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and gosh, I would have to totally revamp that program if I was delivering it tomorrow in terms of innovation and creativity and where we are in the world right now with that. So the next thing, I'm going to put you into a breakout room, and what I want you to think about, I'll give you 4 or 5 minutes. I want you to think about culture. And I want you to think, we're talking today about a coaching culture. What is culture? What ways can it be identified? You may even have some, culture eats strategy for breakfast and these type of phrases that we're used to. You may have academic definitions. What tangibly is culture? What experience have you had from companies around culture? Ones that you've worked in, ones that you've led, or even, I'm thinking of Disney, where I went with my children many years ago. And what's the link between culture and values? Okay, so I will put you into breakout rooms and I'll give you 5 minutes. Come back with an answer to what is culture. Everyone okay? Good. I do love the crazy hair picture there. Is that yours, Stephen, when you bounced back in?
Oh yes, I have a habit of changing them when I'm not doing that. So I did have probably what was probably not appropriate. Now I had the the Donald Trump video picture that always used to go around with his hair blowing. When I think it was when he was. I thought that's probably not the most appropriate picture to have at this moment in time. So
Yes,
that was the closest I could find for a bad hair day picture. That
Good
remained
call.
politically correct.
Good call, good call. So, what is culture? So I'm going to throw in there, it isn't as easy to define as we initially think.
Yeah, we had an interesting discussion. I think there was a consensus between what we believed culture was. But you're right, it's not an easy answer. And this quote where they say culture eats strategy for breakfast is kind of resonates really very much for me, especially in the region. And I find, so we discussed kind of what's the culture versus the value. Or values, and it was really a visibility of behaviors. So culture is really what you see in people's behavior. Steve, feel free to add whenever you feel like it's not going in the right direction. Steve mentioned something about individuals' impact, and I thought that was quite a powerful statement. So the individual impact on an organization can affect the culture as well, especially if there's a group that share the same values. Yeah, I think that was our take.
Thank you. I think it's that sometimes intangible around the values that are lived. And I do feel as well that if job descriptions, personal specifications, even job ads, behavioural competency frameworks all have alignment with the values, then we will get the culture we are working to create. And there's so much out there now in terms of equality, equity, diversity, inclusion, and ads are actually written that is favouring or attracting one gender over the other, or there's inadvertent ageism and so forth. So even from there and all the way, like Stephen said, to when people are leaving, what way are we treating our people at every part of the talent life cycle? And even more than that, what is our messages out there on social media? What way do our people be and act when they are representing our organisation? And a true measure of a coaching culture, the absolute, I was going to say Uber, but it seems a funny one to say now, the absolute platinum model is even our customers and our suppliers recognize that we use powerful questioning, active listening, and appreciation, for example, in everything we do. So that's the, that's the absolute dream in terms of the way we experience a coaching culture. Anyone else like to add anything? Yeah, Sausan, unwritten rules that guide how people interact. Beautiful, I love it. So I'll just bring the slides up again. And this session, it is a little bit slide heavy today, just so I can give you as much as possible. And the other sessions that are in the agenda are extremely experiential. So there's many different ones. Some of the experts there, Clutterbuck, for example, has written numerous books. This model's Clutterbuck and Megginson. And the bit at the bottom, if you imagine the analogy of a ship, resigned inertia, we're just sat in the boat and there's really, not a lot going on. You can even go a step below that where people are sabotaging. And sadly, sometimes that can happen in organizations for whatever reason. And then nascent. So we're in an embryonic stage of sporadic. Some people are using it a bit, but they may not even be conscious and aware that they are using coaching competencies. And then tactical. We are working with our senior leaders and our directors to enable them to grow coaching competencies and use it with their people. And of course, there's many different ways we can be tactical. Sometimes it's a focus on, we are moving all the way towards Coca-Cola, for example. Everyone who joins the organization at a certain level has to go through at least 6 weeks, not straight, but 6 weeks of coaching. And that is the way we do things around here. And it's also bringing in, which is more progressive, bringing in things like team leader as coach. And even more than that, going from tactical to strategic. I'm a team leader in this organization and I use coaching with my people. And I use coaching when I'm working with other departments. I then coach other teams so that that leader is, in terms of power, equal to their team when they are being coached as a team. And I am owning all those coaching competencies of fierce courage, being brave, non-judgmental. I am here totally coaching this team with my coaching hat on, with equal power with them, and their leader has equal power with the team. Now that's an advantage, because if you're a team leader who's coaching, you are still the team leader and you're juggling between team leader and I'm coaching at the same time. So organizations, of course, bringing in experienced external team coaches is an advantage, and growing that internally as well is even better. And then it moves to embody the platinum model I mentioned. It is the way we do things around here. So someone goes to anyone's office or desk and what should I do with this? And the answer would naturally, without even thinking about it, be, what can you do? Or what are your options? Of what ways have you dealt with this before? And it just rolls off the tongue and it just feels like flow. And of course, there are levels and levels, as we all know, in terms of the way we can step even more into coaching in organizations. So I'm not going to read all the bits under the slide, but I will send these afterwards. For me, this is one of the most important slides, because there are people, sadly, in dinner, we don't need that silly old soft skills thing. I actually detest the name soft skills, because I actually think they need a million other names, but not soft, because soft is the new hard, if you want to see it like that. We so need them. And there's people who will actually link to the last side, that's not for me. So there's also that thing of, if organizations are really serious, this is part of a percentage of performance management attending coach competency training. And if it's there and being measured, people will do it. And if it's related to bonuses where relevant, even more so, they will do it. And if it's related to, I will not be able to move up the organization unless I can demonstrate using those competencies, they will work to demonstrate them if they're ambitious and they want to move up the organization. So there's ways of working with resistance, and one of the ways that I want to share is also share success stories in whatever way possible. So many of us are working from home in different places. The posters on the wall may not be having the impact they used to right now, and emails in terms of, this person was coaching this person, where names can be shared, and this was the impact, and this is the result, and this is the way our team managed to align around purpose, our true purpose right now, which may have been very different to 8 months ago before COVID started. And then the reasoning, moving towards, it's making sense, and experimenting and having a go. And that's the bit where this is totally not linear. Forwards and backwards all the time. And I'm too busy today, so I end up telling. And then you've also got that toolbox of leadership and management in terms of, we use what's needed at that moment. And if there's a crisis, if there's a fire, we just say, grab your things and get out. We do not coach around, what's the best way to leave this building? It just is, we do it this way at certain points. So coaching is one of many tools in our toolbox. So in terms of selling coaching, as when coaching is normalized in this organization, your people will. And that bit, what they will know, understand, be able to apply, and what they will experience is the important bit. So things there are now for you to have a chat about. So I want you to consider, and then I'll share any extras that I've got as well, the outcomes of an organization that uses coaching, and go big, and the benefits. What will people be experiencing when they are in an organization that is using a coaching culture? Okay, and I will put you into groups again. I'm going to give you a little bit longer, about 8 minutes on this. So you've got the benefits of a coaching culture and also the outcomes. And I invite you to imagine you are a bird looking through the window at this organization. What will you hear? What will you see in this organization that is using a coaching culture? Okay. See you in 8 minutes. So what are the benefits of a coaching culture, and what would that bird looking through the window experience?
Wow. So shall I offer first then, seeing as I went last time?
Sure.
I think we had an interesting conversation, and again, everyone chip in, please. I think and it summed it up, I think, very, very well towards the end, because I think we we struggle to try and understand what the difference between an outcome is, and what the benefit was, because I think we were seeing them rather interchangeable. But I liked the definition. Sort of outcomes we thought were probably measurable, whereas the benefits are non-measurable. I know in a business context, when you do benefits realization, you can measure benefits, but that's a different story altogether. But some of the examples we came up with, obviously the return on investment, improve better decision making. We can increase people empowerment. There was a productivity improvement. I think Dr. came up with an example of sort of system, sort of improving inputs, outputs, and also process. The interaction between stakeholders. So obviously would be, this is all sort of improved. Better interaction, again, between the coaches. I think that's all I jotted down. So if I've missed anything or misinterpreted, please feel free to add in.
Anyone else want to add anything in there?
No, I think that was summed up perfectly. I do have a question though, but once you're ready for a question.
So I'll take the question, and then there's a few other things I can add to that.
So I've been seeing this systemic word being used a lot in coaching recently. I don't know if it's a buzzword or it's something I haven't been aware of before. So I'm not quite sure what it means, Claire.
Sure. So sometimes I can be brave and bold. So I will be. Systemic coaching for me is not just a buzzword. It is totally here to stay and is needed. So,
Okay.
Najat, when I'm coaching, if I'm coaching you right now, and just making up completely, it's on work-life balance. And in that is, I didn't meet that deadline for that report, and it's, meaning I'm going to be working on Saturday morning or all of this. Now, into that, there's other voices in the conversation. For example, children and losing time on Saturday morning away from you because of that, and your line manager, and dependencies because someone didn't get that report in the deadline that they needed it for the work that they need to do, and so on and so forth. So what I mean bringing in there is, despite the fact it's one-on-one coaching, every coaching conversation has the system in it, whether we address it or not. The other thing that's really important there is we can choose to ignore it, and the coaching will not be as impactful, it won't be as deep, it won't be as long-term sustainable, and so forth. But the other thing is, the other element of systemic coaching is the fact that it brings in patterns. So the type of other questions I may ask you, and some coaches use this, but they're not aware that they're using a systemic lens. Okay. So another thing I might ask you is, so you've mentioned your work and time management. What other places or what other parts of your life does time management show up as a concern? And I guarantee if someone's got time management in work, oh yeah, quite often I'm late for my friends or this, it just is. And if we're coaching the person and not the issue, by bringing up the patterns, they can transform who they're being and their life, as opposed to quick fix in terms of, managing time in the workplace. That's another important thing there about a systemic lens.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, no, definitely it does. Yeah, like you say, maybe you've been using it before, but you didn't realize that actually you're coaching like that. So what about, can you get systemic, I presume you can, systemic coaching in an organization then? Because you're obviously going to be identifying patterns as you coach different people in the organization. Is that right?
Absolutely, totally, even more so. And some are there, you can feel them. You can, that walking into a room and noticing the energy in meetings, body language, tone and pitch, all of this is data, really interesting data. So the other thing is, it depends on what's going on in the field and the system that organization is working in. So for example, if you're working at Amazon right now, your job security in most parts of the world with Amazon is fine. There are ads all the time for jobs with Amazon. They're doing amazing. And if you're that little corner shop cafe, what a different energy. So tapping into the field, the sector, and so forth is really important as well.
So as a coach then, if you were working with Amazon or this little cafe, you would be able to identify that without even having really the conversations, because you'd be aware of the field or the industry. So
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
And always, you know, that very good thing, always checking in, because sometimes is it fact or is it assumption? And then the other thing is, systemic coaches use Gestalt a lot, tapping into what they're experiencing when they're coaching. And all of that is data as well. So working with one organization, BNP Paribas, about 11 years ago, they were changing strategy from retail and investment to just investment. And in fact, it was my first piece of work in Qatar. We were working across the whole of the Middle East. And if you tap into what was the energy like in Riyadh, there was only 16 people that worked there, compared to Doha, compared to South Africa, which was at the head office in Bahrain during tanks on the street from Saudi Arabia in 2011. That was happening. And sectarianism. And people could not get out of villages to get to the workplace. All of that was in the system. And we were working, there's the agenda, we're working to get people on board the new strategy. Imagine if we just focus on that and not what's really going on in the room.
Yeah.
So that's tapping into systemic lens as well.
Thank you.
It's beautiful work, and it's almost like once you know it, practice it, and get it, you are then a systemic coach. And my view is there's no turning back. Once you're there, it just is. And it just, you know, it makes perfect sense. So the type of things when working with teams or boards, and obviously it's all relevant to this session, otherwise I wouldn't mention this for this length of time, is the type of thing, you know, stakeholder mapping obviously is really important. And what things will keep you up at night as a team if you don't address them today in this coaching session? Why this coaching session? Why now? Why this topic? Why now? What do your stakeholders need you to be coached on today? See how it's outside in and future back. Quite often, you know, one of our programs is 40 CCEs and it's on systemic team coaching. And what's important about that is we call it pure coaching, because a lot of people go, yeah, I've done team coaching and I want the certificate, and you can go all the way to diploma, and they come and they realize, and we've even got commendations. One guy from Lego, who's a director, I thought I was team coaching until I attended the program. And it's that future back focus. What do they need us to focus on right now? Interesting, in this time, the horizon has come much closer, in my opinion. you know, strategy 3, 5, 10 years. It's almost like a few months ago, what's our strategy for tomorrow? Because we don't know what next week's going to bring. So all of this is at play. And as coaches working in organisations, internal or external, we are holding that space for all of this uncovering to take place. And there's self-managing, especially in internal coaching, because you go from one team to a different one, and there's confidentialities that are shared. And the pure model of team coaching is also you coach all the individuals in the team, and especially the team leader, as well as the team together at team level. And then you move to another team, and you cannot just move down the corridor. Here we go. You almost have to metaphorically and physically wash off what was happening in that session before moving into the next session, so that you can be fully present. I mean, how many times have we gone home from work and it's still there? I'm sure we've all experienced that. And you've got different teams and different priorities and conflicts, but also different pressures that may be at loggerheads with each other. And you can't share what came from that session, even if it would help them in this session, but you can try and get them in conversations together. And one way to do that is constellations. You can have 100 people in a room doing a constellation, or many online as well. Any more questions?
I have a question, if I may, Claire. I think you've probably answered it, and it's probably the fact, obviously I'm still new on my journey. I completely get the benefits, and obviously looking for those patterns and using that data. I think my question is around, obviously at the moment, because we're still doing the competencies and doing everything by the book, what keeps on going through my mind at the moment is confidentiality.
Sure.
And obviously as a coach at the moment, being told, obviously my coaching notes for session 1, I keep them, I don't share them, I destroy them immediately afterwards. So it's that sort of, how do you, and it may not be a question to answer now because it might not be relevant, but how do you sort of overcome that, I suppose, that ethics question around confidentiality, etc.?
So confidentiality when working with organisations and when working as an internal coach or external coach, all of that.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably thinking more so for the organisation, because you're not going to spot a pattern between doing 10 different individuals in different organisations and working in different, you know, industries, etc.
It can show up in different sectors and different locations, interestingly. And so important things around that are, we say ABC, always be contracting in the moment, in every session, and even in the middle of sessions. And it is a good story, and I am allowed to share this. I worked as an external coach for about 5 years for Qatar Financial Centre, and then the CEO created an internal coach position. And when negotiating what coaching will look like and be like in that organisation as an internal coach driving the coaching culture, full permission was given for me to coach anybody and everybody. And even we moved towards coaching the firms that are registered under QFC. So the important thing was whether someone is contracted, full-time employed, C-suite, or the janitor, everyone is allowed to be coached. And that goes with my values as well of equal access. And then the other thing was totally across the board, and this doesn't happen in all organizations, and sometimes I've turned down work because I don't want to work with these parameters. But what I was given was, whatever happens in the coaching is totally confidential, unless, and this is going with ICF ethics, someone's harming themselves harming someone else or majorly harming the business. And that's how it was. And some people were coached, and they're, you know, I'm being coached, I'm very happy about it. And that actually works in my favor sometimes for the agenda, where, for example, initially there was more expats and more women. And then it moved into also Qatari men in senior positions, happy to share that they were being coached. And coaching over the road at a cafe where nobody needs to know that you're being coached. And all of that was agreed from the get-go. And in terms of notes, unless anything was medical or legal, I never take notes. And there's schools of thoughts on this. My school of thought is, if I'm needing, now and again in a session, I've quite often got on my, you know, where I'm working now, a few little pieces of paper with a word on it. It's like a word and I might never even look at it. Well, that's in a session. But in terms of notes before or after a session, I never take them. And I feel that over the years, if I'm taking notes, I'm coaching too many people. And then also there's one word is rituals, whatever word works for you in terms of getting into that zone with that person before the session so that you're fully connected to where they were, remembering that every session is all about them and their agenda. So they may come to the session with a totally different topic. The tricky thing is, for example, when coaching a line manager and a subordinate, and there's relationship issues, or someone is my friend in the organization, whether you're internal or external, and of course we keep confidentiality, and not everyone believes that straight away. Some people totally do, and others, it can. With one family business I worked with, it was 6 months to get the contract, and that was all about trust. And some people would not buy in even 6 months down the line, and then they were seeing the benefits, so then it, you know, it cascaded. So I challenge you, if I may, to work out with organizations, why do they want notes taken? Who are the notes for? Where will the notes be? What will be the impact of those notes? And with GDPR as well, even notes on our laptops, there's so much to consider in all of that. And Stephen, have a play with no note taking and see what that's like in terms of your coaching presence.
Mm-hmm.
So that was quite a lot. The other thing I totally advocate, especially in workplace coaching, which is the leadership coaching and all these things that we've mentioned, supervision. So mentor coaching is on the competencies, and for credentialing, supervision is about who are you being and what tricky situations are you coming across in your work, and what way can we as coaches, supervisors, support you in restoring the energy levels, working with NHS at the moment, for example, resourcing, recalibrating, and also benchmarking. Because just like driving, we can get into bad habits. So a lot of organizations actually have internal supervisors. And this came from the helping professions, the caring professions, and has moved into coaching. So that's really useful as well. If you're a coach on your own or setting up your own business, the funding of that, you can obviously have peer supervision. I set up a supervision circle in the Middle East where supervisors supervise each other. So that's done reciprocally. Or you may need to think down the line of including in your charges a cost that is for your supervision. And supervision doesn't tend to be as regular as when people have coaching. And sometimes it may be a few sessions because of something, and then other times, oh, I've not had supervision this quarter. I'm dipping into that because everything's going well, and what ways can I have even more of that? Okay.
Thank you.
Pleasure. So I will, the other things that I was thinking about when you were sharing, Stephen, in terms of the areas, ways of measuring, and obviously organisations are audited. So the number of people being coached, at the different levels, the gender, and all the other things to do with equality and diversity there. The outcomes of the coaching that are actually measurable in terms of top and bottom line, and that is possible. And then also a massive one is, and especially now, mental health and happiness in the workplace. And also, so important, reducing silos. I think for me, that's one of the biggest ones, because it's almost like coaching reduces silos, and reducing silos benefits organisations so much that that's, you know, it's a total ripple effect, double whammy. So I'm just bringing the slides back up now. So I mentioned aligning to purpose. So this is teams or individuals. This was working with an organisation where people were absolute away day. It went into the evening, just looking at purpose. And then some of the benefits of coaching here. So culture, environment, fit. So when we're hiring people for diversity, and also in terms of will they fit our culture? And then improving communication, open, honest, transparent, frank conversations with clean and clear language. And obviously we're not talking about avoiding swear words there. It's being succinct and checking in that the other person gets it, reducing toxicity, talent management, and so forth. And obviously I will share these slides with you afterwards. And then I sat up one night thinking of all the words beginning with C that relate to a coaching culture. The biggest one for me again is co-creation. When this and this get together, it's not one and one makes two. It is so much more. It's like that, you know, stone in the middle of the bridge, which holds everything together. And, you know, client or customer centricity is a massive one in terms of coaching cultures, because we listen and we hear them so much more, even when they're not in the room. So bringing in the systemic lens again. It reduces conflict. And when we talk about positive disruption, obviously that's something different again. In a coaching culture, it is absolutely okay for me to share that's not working for me, and what I need from you right now is X, Y, and Z. So we do need disruption, and teams are braver to go there as opposed to harmonizing, which doesn't really get us to where we need to be. So just because of time, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to move to the barriers of a coaching culture. This is a map in terms of, it brings in the line of, you know, developing coaching from outside and moving towards coaching capacity and skills, and then moving it into the way the leaders do it with their teams and so forth, all the way to on the right hand side, our stakeholders feel the coaching culture. And the place of coaching, where should it be? I was actually under the CEO, so that had impact in itself as an internal coach, because people, you know, they sit up if you are working under the CEO, so that had a great advantage. And then the platinum again, if coaching is top down, bottom up, so coaching up an organisation, which is those, you know, we've got the older and wiser, and I'm not just talking about age, obviously. And then we've got the younger, the graduates, and what ways can they ask questions to the people above for knowledge transfer, also for naive questioning, which is such a fabulous tool. And many organisations tap into naive questioning for everyone's learning. So a way of growing awareness is to look at people's types. This is the tool we use, which is Savile Wave. They've got over 30 different profiling tools, similar to Belbin. What are your strengths? What are your development areas? But what's great about this for organisations, you can also tap into, and as a team, what are our strengths and development areas? What are the gaps? If we're hiring, what type of person do we need to hire? And if we're not, who needs to step into, let's say, the supporter and optimist? Because we're all finishers, strivers and innovators. So by having the picture of the whole team, that can actually help the coaching. And to be more supportive as a team, what needs to happen? Those types of questions. And then this one is the team level profile. So what we've got here is 360. You can have 300 people inputting the data on the team mapped to specific high performance and high impact data. And the way that works is we get a picture, and I can send a sample report. We get a picture of the team in terms of strengths and development areas. So on this one, the team leader, in terms of the statement, the team functions as a real team and not a group. The team leader doesn't feel that's the case, but the team members do. The internal stakeholders don't feel it's the case, but the external ones do. And there's obviously options that I am unable to answer if we don't know the team well enough. Another thing that's useful is bringing in performance management coaching conversations, which is a long phrase, but linked to values. What type of questions do we commit to asking in performance management to bring in a coaching aspect? And that's just one thing there. Other ways of doing that, I'm happy to share more of these coaching conversation questions for performance management. If someone's a first line manager for the first time, these types of tools are really useful for them as well. And then I've mentioned Coca-Cola. They're committed to every leader and supervisor having at least some coach training. And then more ways it can support the business function. So some people sit up when they see some of these benefits. Accountability and planning. Systems re-engineering. Being more at flow and especially being more agile, which again, it's not a buzzword, it's sticking around. Here are some of the data from ILM in terms of when the research was done around leader as coach. This was evidence from a report in terms of the gains from an organization. So if you're ever doing proposals, this type of stuff is really useful to put in there. And then here are some of the basic competencies without the back pages in terms of when we're coaching in organizations. We've got monitoring progress, powerful questioning, maintaining relationships, giving and receiving feedback, and so forth. So what we're going to do now is move into, just briefly, a constellation, which is a way of working together to uncover the knowledge in the system. And Samira, I'm going to stop share, and Samira is going to take us to Miro so we can play about a little bit. And these questions I have in my head already. And we're going to be working today with a cinema. Over to you, Samira.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to post a link in the chat box and share my screen. Here we go. So when you click on that link, it will bring you to a collaboration board, to Miro, or Miro. Some people like to call it Miro. So once you're here, I'll ask you all to come here. Of course, you have another option to do this. You can annotate on the Zoom screen itself. Now, if you are on the board, which still we're waiting for you, if you're on the board,
Mira, it says password. Is that it's guest and then it says password?
Here we go. Can edit. How about now?
Let's see if that works.
And let me just share the link again.
Perfect.
Here we go. So we have Claire on the board. And Claire is moving around. That's great. Miro is one of the main tools, online tools that I use in team coaching or also group coaching and even in teaching. Here we go. Wow, we have all of you guys here. So let me bring you all to me.
We use this especially when delivering our team coaching program, because the way we deliver it is these are the tools that you can then use with your teams online. And obviously it's not just about COVID. Teams have been working online globally for a long time.
True. So now I asked everyone to come to me. So you're in if you can look at the screen, you can see people are looking at a cinema screen, and there is another kind of like a shop. So go ahead, Claire, you can start the activity. For you guys, if you're here and let's say Dr. Muhammad, yours is yellow, so you just grab one of the dots and move around the image. Hey, that's nice.
So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to ask myself, and I'm also going to demonstrate. So I'm coaching myself so that you understand the activity. So we can use anything. We can use a hotel and spa. You can use a nightclub when it's appropriate. You know, some teams are wanting to go there. Anything as a stimulus. We've used a swimming pool. What this is a way of connecting with how people are right now. So my question to you is, where are you in terms of your knowledge about coaching cultures? And I'm this little, where am I? There I am. I'm this little spot here. So I am placing myself, there's a cinema there. I'm not outside waiting to get in. I'm in there already. And I'll be brave here. I'm on the first row. I'm not on the stage. I'm on the first row. And then the coach would ask, so everyone places themselves somewhere in this constellation. A constellation, as we know, being a group of stars. So I invite you now to place yourself somewhere in that constellation. And you may be off these pictures for whatever reason. You may be in a different place. And we go and understand what that's about. So I'm there on the front row, and the type of thing I would ask me as a coach, and what's it like being on the front row in terms of your knowledge of coaching cultures? And notice I keep repeating the question, the focus, the topic that we're working on, and then I'd answer. So being on the front row is like, you know, I feel quite confident. I've got a front row seat. There's people behind that don't know as much. I'm not on the stage. I'm not the absolute rock star expert in the world. And I'm curious because I'm close to the screen and I'm listening and I always want to know more. And that's me being authentic there. That is where I am in this constellation as an example of placing myself in this cinema in terms of my knowledge as a coaching culture. So let's go to someone else. Who would like to be coached for 2 minutes in terms of where you are in terms of your knowledge of a coaching culture in relation to this stimulus of a cinema?
Happy to play.
Brilliant. So Stephen, where are you?
So I've put myself by the door. I've taken that step, that leap of faith to come in, but at the moment I don't know where I'm going to go and where I'm going to sit. Am I going to be confident and sit at the front, or am I going to hide at the back?
So congratulations for stepping into that place and getting through the door. And when you're through the door, what are you noticing cognitively?
What am I noticing? I'm noticing there's people already there. I'm noticing there's empty seats. And I'm kind of noticing or kind of feeling that I want to go to the front, but I don't quite feel ready to go to the front yet.
So what I love about what you've shared is you've got a destination to be at the front. What are you experiencing in your body right now after sharing that you want to be at the front?
Impatience and nervousness and desire. So impatient to, I want to move forward. Nervousness, I'm still at that point where I could still fail. And that desire to learn more and understand more.
And when there is less impatience, learning and desire, when there's less of that, what is there more of?
I would probably say excitement.
Excitement like what?
Excitement that I've achieved more, I've learnt more, my outcomes can be improved.
So I invite you now to sit back in your chair so you're actually physically moving, and take yourself out of that place and look at it from a meta view, the big picture. When you're looking from that angle, what are you noticing?
I'm probably noticing that there are still gaps, but I'm noticing that I'm confident, and I do want to sit next to one of those people who are in the second row. Actually, I'm the first row. But yeah, still feeling at the moment not quite. I've got the popcorn, but I don't want to share the popcorn yet.
I love that analogy. Thank you. So, Stephen, that was, a total micro coaching session. What's your takeaway?
I think the takeaway in, what was it, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it has drawn that sort of those outcomes and what needs to be done in that short space of time. And I think it was a very positive set of challenge and questioning.
And in terms of the process of working with a stimulus as a constellation, what's your takeaway there?
I think it speeds up that thought process in my mind because it's more visual, as opposed to just asking questions, because you're actually visualizing, or the visualization piece, I think, is clearer and easier, and obviously it helps you get to where ultimately you want to go.
And the way we use this with organizations, I've done this in, big, massive rooms in hotels with big organizations or with teams. And you can literally stand in places. You say, so here's the door and here's the front row, and people picture it. And you ask everyone, depending on time, obviously, with numbers, where they are at and what's it like being in that place. And everyone else, we follow the principles of Nancy Klein in terms of listening. And we share. And then what's amazing is nobody gets it wrong and everyone has an opinion. And then we see what's common, what's not, and what people are surprised about, what are the extremes and so forth. So this is, and that is just 2% of constellation work. So this type of organizational, deep systemic work is things that take organizations quickly forward, and it's beautiful. And the connection and the sharing that takes place, I'm always I'm always just walking away surprised at how amazing people are when they do share, you know, what's really in their hearts. So we haven't got time to go to everyone else. I've got about 2 more slides before we close, but Stephen, thank you very much for stepping in there and experiencing a little brief snippet of a systemic constellation. Thank you.
No, thank you for sharing.
And then Samira, I will go back to the last little bit of the slides. And here we are. It always feels like it takes a while to get the slides up again. There we go. So here's if you were a fly on the wall in organizations that's using coaching, these are the types of things that you would experience. Definitely more authenticity happens and focus. And then we talked to Najat about the system. I love that phrase. And I thought, you know, the CEO of Marriott was amazing at the start of the lockdown, just being so authentic. So we're moving to the last bit of the session. I forgot to share the word at the start. For the CCEs, the first word is coaching and the second word is action. To claim your CCEs. And we'd like to leave with an actionable task. In terms of everything we've covered today, anywhere you are on your coaching journey with Coaching Cultures, what do you commit to by when? What impact will that have, and who or what can help you? I'll give you a few minutes to think. Who would like to share? So Samira is saying, work on building a solid case for the client from the existing projects. Brilliant. Anyone else like to share? Najat.
I'm trying to introduce the concept of coaching into the central bank, actually, and it's been a very long battle this year. So what we're just about to do is launch a graduate program. So I commit to providing the new, we've got it in phases. So our first 10 graduates start next week. I commit to at least coaching 2 graduates by, let's say, the 15th of December. And the impact I will start to create will be an organizational awareness of what coaching could potentially do. And I would like to train a couple of the HR team to take that role on as internal coaches for graduates as a start. I'm not quite sure how it will be measured. I'll let you know.
It's Thursday afternoon, that's okay. Brilliant, I love it. And the other thing is, I've worked with Central Bank of Bahrain for a number of projects. If you want me to come in and do a presentation complimentary, very happy to do that. Or a little coaching skills session.
That's great. I'll have an offline conversation with you.
Sure, absolutely. Anyone else? Who's next?
Yeah, happy to share. I think for me, I'm kind of committing to continuing to learn more, and obviously I'm setting that by the end of November, and finding more sort of, don't like to use the word practice clients, but more real coachees the impact will be for me, better coaching conversations and experience and outcomes. And I think measuring that by my measurement of success, I think will be coachee feedback. And very short term for me, passing my coaching qualifications.
Yay. Brilliant. And using Miro, Dr. Mohammed wants to use that as a platform and the information. Activating my students and clients. Fabulous. So we're coming to the end of the session. Any coach, the brilliant coach, brings out the brilliance in others, which is a beautiful phrase. That's a snippet of the other sessions that are coming up, and it will be at the same times, one in the morning, then one at this time, on Thursdays. And the link there to the website is where you can claim your CCEs if you wish to do so. And again, I'll send that round. There's just some information there. Our next program coming up is mental coaching, and then we've got systemic team coaching and deep dives, intermediate coaching in Jan, and then systemic team coaching in Feb. And there we are. So thank you all for attending. I'm sorry we ran over a little bit. I hope you found the session useful, and we're ready for the rest of our evening.
Thank you, Claire, very much. Thank you, Samira.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Nice meeting everybody.
Yes.
You too, Stephen. Hope to see you again.
Yeah.
Pleasure,
Have a great
guys.
weekend.
Thank you, Dr.
You
Mohammed.
too. Enjoy it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.